Hello to anybody who ends up watching this video. This is my final tweet on our leadership ethics course. And I guess to start off, the word that I would use to kind of put into the kind of wrap up the class would be reflective. I think this class, more so than any other class I've taken in college, really allowed a really safe space to kind of reflect on what was going on in the world and what was going on in all of our own personal lives. And I think that's something that's so important to do. That's something that I've kind of learned this year through all my classes, that taking time to reflect and really think on things and making sure you have that time in your schedule is so important to kind of grow as a person. Because if you just keep acting on things, you keep acting the same way you did, which is, I think, what a lot of us, and I know I was kind of doing before this class, it can be damaging. So I think having that time in the class to kind of really think about where I stand morally, ethically, and then applying what we learned to my own personal life and seeing what works for me and what doesn't was something that I really enjoyed. I guess kind of what spoke to me throughout the semester, the first thing that really jumped out to me was this idea of good and evil. I always kind of thought it was a black and white kind of thing, but then when we watched that video about the American soldiers who were just would kind of just stand by and let those tortures happen, it really kind of made me think about what evil really is. I'm going into law school in the fall, so I've always kind of wanted to be a prosecutor. So that idea of good and evil is important in that line of work. Like who are you prosecuting? Who do you want? What kind of person is that? And you know, I think it's easy to think that it's a black and white issue, but sometimes it's not. Sometimes like people, the blur between good and evil is you know damaging and not maybe not damaging, but it's confusing. So being able to really reflect on that, and really think about what really is evil, is something, or something that's good, is something that I want to take with me going forward. Also, we talked a lot about empathy in this class, and then in the class interpersonal leadership before the semester. I think that's kind of where all moral leadership starts, like putting yourself in someone else's shoes, really listening to where they come from on a lot of perspectives. That's a skill that I think I will take with me for the rest of my life from this class. So that's something that I've really taken away. That's such an important step in my moral leadership process now, I think, being able to really stop and think about where somebody else is coming from. That's just a tool that I know I'll be able to use going forward. And then finally, going into the class, I always thought that any moral or ethical decision should be completely logic based on the situation. But I've started to realize that having your own emotions, influence, maybe not completely take over, but how it's going to make yourself feel is important. Like, what is ethical? If you do something completely for somebody else and don't even do it for yourself, then your bucket's going to be empty. You're not going to have anything. And is that more or less moral than doing something for yourself, completely for yourself? So finding that balance is something that I really want to do going forward, and that's something this class taught me, being able to kind of balance what may seem right to what seems right to you, and that whole dynamic is something that I want to take with me going forward. When it comes to quotes, I don't usually have quotes in the back of my head. I've got a couple, but one that I found that I really enjoyed was, when it comes to describing the class, was from this guy Marcus Aurelius, and he said, "Waste no time in arguing about what a good man is. Be one." I think that's something, moving forward, is something that needs to be done for all of us. Like, we're not in the class anymore. We have all this information. Now it's up to us to go and make these moral decisions and face these ethical conundrums that we talked about all semester. So now it's the time to maybe still talk about it in the future, but now it's the time to be a morally sound and ethical person. With graduation rolling around, I think it's the perfect time to do that. So I love this class. I love everybody in it. I hope that I remain close with everybody, and good luck to any seniors out there. Good luck to everybody else who's got a couple more years here at UF, and I'll see you all around.